Hey everybody, the response to my last video honestly surprised me. People are excited about this idea of reinventing later in life, pivoting, making a change, changing careers, getting back into photography, playing music again if that's your thing, taking lessons, starting something new, starting a business, whatever. Everybody's story is a little different. Underneath a lot of these comments though, I keep hearing kind of the same question. I wanted to talk about that today. I've been thinking about making a change in my life, but where do I even start? And I think that the answer may be simpler than what we've been making it. You know, for one, you don't start by quitting your job. You don't start by figuring out every financial detail. I think you have to start with a simpler question. Number one, what is it that I want? In an ideal world, what would I want my life to look like? Start with that before all the how, all the details, before you figure out how every detail about how you're gonna do it and how you're gonna change. You gotta give yourself permission to actually just think about it. Use your imagination. And you know, you don't have to think about what it's gonna be in 10 years from now, just maybe the next chapter. What would you be excited to wake up and go do? What would you like to spend more time doing, more of your time doing? And maybe just as importantly, what would you like to spend less of your time doing? You may never get that perfect version of that life. I certainly have not, I can tell you. But if you never allow yourself to picture something different, how could you possibly start moving towards it? For me, music had been there since I was a kid. Even while I was working another career for decades, it was always there. It never went away. I kept playing. I had a studio at my house, a small studio, you know, just a little thing. And I would just keep writing and I would play gigs, you know, when I could. I kept doing it on the side. Eventually, I started asking myself a question that became very, very important. And it was this: what am I going to regret not doing? What am I going to regret not trying? If I get further down the road and I never really give this a shot, while I still have energy, while I still have all my health and all that, how am I going to feel about that? For me, that question was more powerful than anything. But here's what happens immediately when we start thinking about making a change. Our brain starts to give us all the reasons why it won't work. What if I fail? What if I make the wrong decision? What about the money? What if the whole thing is a mistake? These are all legitimate questions. I'm not suggesting we ignore reality, but I think we have to give the opposite possibility equal share, equal opportunity at the table. What if it could work? Maybe it won't. There's no guarantees. But what if it could? What if something great could happen? I think sometimes we spend so much energy protecting ourselves from what could go wrong that we don't give ourselves the permission to imagine what might go right. And I'm not talking about, you know, magical positive thinking. I'm talking about just giving the possibility of what if it could work a fair shot. And the other thing I was going to say is, don't solve everything too early. I've already had people asking me about the money side of everything and what was your net worth and all those kind of things. How could you afford to do this? And legitimate question. And I'm going to talk specifically about that in another video because there were absolutely sacrifices and financial decisions and trade-offs involved in my story. And it didn't magically happen. But here's what I'll say: if you're still just thinking about making a change, don't make all the practical challenges and all that stuff the central core of what you focus on. Start with, what if it could work? Because it's easy to have an idea and immediately say, I can't afford that. I don't have time for that. That could never work. And suddenly the idea is dead on the side of the road before you've ever explored it. Eventually, yes, you have to deal with reality. You have to figure out the money, the timing, your responsibilities, all of it. But you don't have to solve the next 10 years before you're even allowed to imagine something different. So protect the idea long enough to explore it before your brain figures out all the reasons why you can't do it. For me, it's kind of there's a spiritual side to this. It's like something that I feel like was put in me. This music thing was just something that I was supposed to do. So I went after the music not because I was going to make a bunch of money, but it was a mustard seed of an idea that kept coming back, and it was something that excited me when I thought about it. And I'm not telling anybody else what they need to believe. I'm just telling you how I thought about it. And sometimes I just think we have to protect that little idea long enough to see if there's something there. Just don't automatically dismiss it. What if the great thing could happen? All right, next thing, take a small step. And this may be the most practical thing I could say during the whole video. You don't have to take a giant leap. If you thought about playing music again, what's the small step that you could take? Is it reconnecting with some musicians that you've been in touch with? Is it taking a vocal lesson? If you want to get back into photography, is it getting that camera out and starting to really dial it in again? Thinking about another career. Talk to somebody that's already in that career. If you got a business idea, spend a little bit of time researching it each week. If you want to write a page, write a little bit, make some progress. You don't have to solve everything. You have to just start to take an incremental step. And then over time, those little incremental steps really, really do add up. And I think that by taking that action, it starts to give you clarity and confidence that, hey, maybe something could work. Yeah, I want to pursue this. Or you may discover, you know what? I thought I wanted it, but I really don't. That's okay too. You learned something. But at least you gave the possibility a chance before talking yourself out of it. All right, in closing, I want to make one thing clear. I'm not saying everybody needs to reinvent your entire life. This is more conceptually, let's talk about the heart first, about where am I going? What are you excited about? What do you really want to do? And maybe it's something that you've been thinking about that is something that you could start on the side. Maybe it's something that you used to love that you want to pick back up. The point is, don't automatically close the door. If there's something you've been thinking about, start with these questions. What do I want this next chapter of my life to look like? What would I regret not trying? Oh, well, I did a good job and had a great job and career, but I never did that thing. And instead of asking, what if it doesn't work, give the question equal time. What if it could? What if it could work? Maybe it's not in the way that you think you wanted it to work when you were in your 20s necessarily, but it could work now. And maybe this change doesn't start with some big giant decision right now, but it begins with a question, what if? And then a small step. I am enjoying hearing from you all in the comments so much. I am loving hearing about your stories. It is fascinating, and I'm doing my best to stay on top of all those comments, by the way. What is something that you've been thinking about doing, starting, getting back to? What's in your heart, man? You got to create the time for it. Hope this helps, and stay tuned. We got more coming very soon. Let's keep in touch. Hit the like and the subscribe button. You'll be aware of the next stuff that we're going to be putting out here. So thanks again, guys. I so appreciate you all. Looking forward to talking again very soon.